Welcome back to the Anything Flies podcast. In today's episode, we're going to be talking about the Ohio State Buckeyes and their upcoming 2024 to 2025 college football schedule. Special guest Kevin Walsh on here again. We appreciate you for coming on. Kevin, where can we find you? All right, so let's get into it. Week 1 versus Akron. I think we can all agree that's a W, right? No objections. Week 2, Western Michigan, W. No objections as well, I would assume. Versus Marshall, win. At Michigan State, win. Then we have our first big game on the schedule for Ohio State versus Oregon. I've got that as a win, but let me hear what you guys think.
We're talking Oregon or Iowa. Okay. The only thing that worries me about Iowa is the low-scoring games they had last year. Everybody knew them for having like 15 punts and only winning like 3-0 games, like 3-0 games. But I think Ohio State will pull this one out. I believe this is home, right? So if it was at Iowa, I'd be a little more scared. But I think we'll pull this one out. I think we'll win like 28-7. But it will be a little close and nerve-wracking on game day.
Yeah, I think this one's going to be a classic situation where it's like truly the first big game of the year, and everyone gets all excited. We're taking on a ranked Iowa, and then the game's over by halftime. That's just what it's going to be. It's going to be over by halftime. Everybody's going to be leaving their seats. I'll be at the game. Maybe I'll stick around. Maybe I'll leave at halftime. We'll see. But Ohio State it's already over at halftime and moves on over Iowa.
Yeah, I completely agree. This is one of those games where going to be a lot of hype around it just because this is the first time Ohio State has to play someone relatively good on their schedule. But like you said, Kevin, it's going to be over. It's not really going to be a competitive one. Ohio State's offense is going to break through the Iowa defense. Moving on to at Oregon, the 3-ranked team as of now. Personally, I've got that as a loss just because Eugene's a tough atmosphere to go into to play. We saw it last year with Washington. It's a week 6 matchup. The Buckeyes never seem to really be in true contender form until we get to about week 8, deeper into the season. I wouldn't be shocked if they pulled it off and won, but I would definitely think this is one of the few games that they could lose this season.
Yeah, I've got them winning, but I do understand why you have them losing. I can't tell if this is going to be can't tell if this is an overrated Oregon team or an actually true rated Oregon team. I can't really tell if this is going to be a blowout or a close game. But if I had to make a prediction, I think we're winning by like a 1-point last-second field goal. But yeah, I think this will really show Ohio State's true colors. They've got a lot of returning players, and they kind of have a lot of new players on offense, but they have a lot of new, old guys on defense. So I think the maturity on defense will help us get through the game.
That was a really good breakdown. Because I'm also taking Ohio State to beat Oregon. I had to witness the loss at home a few years ago, and that one stung, man. That one stung. But I think the Ohio State Buckeyes, they're going to welcome Oregon to the Big Ten in the way that they're supposed to, which is handing them a big fat L. So Oregon's taking that loss. Although it is in Oregon, I love what Dan Lanning's doing there. They have a great roster. I just think Ohio State, this is their year. Can't afford to lose a game like this. Let's just stay dominant the entire season, and Ryan Day is going to have those boys ready.
Yeah, I think another big reason why is we've got them coming off a good win out of Iowa, and they're going to continue the momentum and what Kevin said, really show Oregon what the Big Ten's all about. None of this weak Pac-12 defense type teams.
Completely agree. Versus Nebraska, I think we all have that as a win. Next big game for Ohio State is at Penn State, 8th-ranked team. I've got this one as a win. Let me check real quick if it's a night game. It's not listed at what time yet. I would assume it's going to be a whiteout. Even still, I think Ohio State is going to have momentum coming off the win, or if they win at Oregon and a win at Nebraska. It's going to be a hard team to stop. Most likely the number 1 ranked team in the country at that time. And I don't think Penn State has what it takes to hang with them.
Yeah, this is not, from what I've heard about them so far, this is not one of the Penn State teams that have been scary in the past few years. Like the last couple of years we lost to them at Penn State. Obviously, it probably will be a whiteout. It'll probably be a close one, just like always against Penn State at Penn State. But I think just like what happens at Oregon, we're gonna push through just with the maturity on defense and push through the win and continue the momentum through the end of the season.
The game against Penn State honestly makes me more nervous than Oregon. I still think Ohio State's going to get the win, keeping them undefeated on the season. But I think the focus is going to be on that Oregon game. We could see a situation where Ohio State goes into Penn State and is feeling like, oh, we were so focused on Oregon. We're coming off a win against Oregon 2 weeks prior. We just beat Nebraska, who has Dylan Royola, and it will probably be much better this year. And then Penn State's going to be like, they're going to be ready to play because this is like their Super Bowl. But we do know Penn State can be prone to turnovers, especially when Ohio State's defense is really, really good. Maybe we can get another JT Tuimoloau game where he just goes off against Penn State like he did 2 years ago. I would love to see that. But I think Ohio State still comes out on top, but it'll be more like a fourth quarter charge once they realize that, hey, Penn State came to play, but we can't take this loss.
Yeah, I definitely think it will be a sloppy game. I think there's going to be a lot of penalties, more turnovers than normal, just because of what Kevin was saying, where we probably won't be as prepared as the other games, but I think we will eventually win the game, but it will be a nail biter.
I mean, the span of 3 weeks from the Oregon, Nebraska, and Penn State game is going to tell us a lot about the Ohio State team and what the young men are built of, whether or not they're tough enough. Let's say they go into Oregon and get the loss. Not a terrible loss, considering it's at Oregon, and Oregon's ranked number 3 right now. If they lose that, they need to bounce back and get the Nebraska win, and then it'll show us really who they mentally are and physically are if they go beat Penn State. And no matter what, out of these 3 games, it'll show us a lot, show the committee a lot, and show the whole world of football what they're about. Moving on to Purdue, win. I think everybody's okay with that, especially since it's home at Northwestern, which I think will be played in Wrigley Field. That should be a win.
Yeah, the only thing that is nervous for me is that we're playing at Wrigley Field. There's something with us playing bad teams late in the season at their place, and especially since at Wrigley Field, it's going to be as packed as really Wrigley can be. And so something about that just makes me a little nervous as a Buckeye fan, but I do think they're going to win, but I'm a little worried about that game.
It's going to be all Buckeye fans, though. It'll be Wrigley Field filled with 90% Ohio State fans.
That is true. We travel.
In Chicago. There's a lot of Buckeyes there. And, I'm looking right here. Tickets are going for $250 right now. Because all the Buckeye fans want to go to Wrigley and say, hey, we went and watched Ohio State win by 50 in Wrigley Field. So I still think it'll be a cool environment, but it'll be a cool home game.
And then moving on to Indiana, that's home. I think another win. And then last but certainly not least, versus the team up north who's ranked 9. This is the game that everybody in college football, everybody that pays attention to college football, the committee has had circled since last year when they lost to Michigan away. All the cheating scandals has come out. We know the truth now. Still lost back then without the cheating. Sharon Moore is the head coach now. It's going to be the first time he's had to play Ohio State as the true head coach. Going to have nobody else to help him prepare. This will be Ryan Day's, I would assume, last chance to beat Michigan, or else he's going to be out of town really, really quick. Unless he somehow still gets into the college football playoffs and wins it all. I think that's the only way he stays if he loses to Michigan this year. So this is the biggest game on the schedule, no matter what. No matter what Oregon's ranked, no matter what Penn State's ranked, no matter what happens before all of this. Michigan at home at noon will be the biggest game. I would guarantee there's a lot of people that probably the most viewed Michigan-Ohio State game in a while. This game needs to be circled for everybody, but I still think they get the W.
Yeah, I agree. This is what all the players came back for. Whether or not they said that when they were returning, this is the big reason why they came back. That's all. All they want to do is leave Ohio State with the gold pants. This is their last chance as seniors, and I think the freshmen like Jeremiah Smith and all the new guys really understand what this game means. After seeing Ohio State lose the last 3 years, they really understand and really know now what the game against the team up north really means. And I think we're gonna go back to old fashioned Ohio State Michigan game, and Ohio State blows them out.
Amen to that. It's gonna be a blowout. Ohio State takes down the Wolverines. This is the game on the schedule. Some people would maybe argue that, there's almost so much hype, or when you feel like you need a game so bad, that's when you just won't show up. But this team's going to show up this year. It's way too talented. It's going to be a down year for Michigan. There's just a lot of just chaos going on in that program with the new coach, which, I'm still trying to figure out if Sharon Moore will even be a good coach. I don't even know, right? Like, he came in and he won one game or something, like, as an interim, we got to see him actually coach. Like, I could see Michigan losing, 3 or 4 games this year. It'll be a down year for Michigan, and we're at home. So Michigan loses to Fresno State at the beginning of the year, loses to Ohio State at the end of the year. They can call it a season.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see if Sharon Moore started on third base, like they like to call Ryan Day. We'll see if it's actually him that won those games last year, or Jim Harbaugh. So yeah, that's the big one for both Michigan and Ohio State.
I like that a lot. Let them eat their words. The rest of the way for OSU, we've already filmed a video about that. It'll be coming out later, so stay tuned for that. That's all we have for you guys. Let us know what you guys think. Make sure to follow all our socials. Follow all of Kevin's socials. It'll be linked in the description. Kevin, thank you again for coming on. We appreciate it. Peace.